Hey guys, Shredder here and welcome to day 1 of Frog Watch. The sun is out and spring is here, though it can still be a little bit cold. That hasn't dampened the spirits of the frogs because my pond here is full of frog spawn. So this is my pond here. You can see there are thousands of frog spawn eggs here. Now each female frog will lay between 1,000 to 2,000 eggs each. So I've no idea how many frogs use this pond. I've not seen any actual frog activity. I've just seen the frog spawn laid afterwards. Now this pond has been pretty much neglected over the winter, but now that the weather is getting better, I want to get out here and actually start looking after it a lot more. Now you can see, as well as frog spawn, there is quite a bit of rubbish in this pond, so I'm going to go straight over and grab my litter picker and start picking out some of this rubbish and try and get it into a bit of a better condition. So while I'm doing this, I would like some advice if anyone is kind of an expert on ponds, because I'm really not. I'm not really too sure how to look after them to the best of their ability. There's a lot of pondweed in here. Now, is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? I just don't really know. So any advice on looking after ponds would be gratefully received. The common frog is easily the most recognisable amphibian in the UK. They're found throughout Britain and Ireland and are widespread across Europe, but numbers are thought to be in decline. They breed in shallow water bodies such as puddles, ponds, lakes and canals. During winter they hibernate under rocks, in compost heaps or underwater, buried in mud and vegetation, where they can actually breathe through their skin. Adult frogs emerge from their overwintering sites in early spring and head straight to the pond to breed. Frogs reach breeding age at around 2 to 3 years old. The male frog often likes to piggyback on the female. The female will lay up to around 2,000 eggs, which the male will then fertilise. Okay, so I've pulled out all the rubbish and it looks a little bit neater now. Now let me just take a little bit of a walk around the pond and so you can have a look at what we've got here. We have this big clump of sort of a plant here. I don't even know what it is. I know these grow into very sort of tall sort of plants. I don't know if that's sort of a lily type thing. I don't know, to be honest with you. Now I don't know whether I should remove all this dead bit or whether I should just leave it there. Again, advice would be greatly appreciated on what to do there. Over this side here, we don't have too much action over this side of the pond. We've got plenty of water boatmen and the pond skaters, that sort of thing. You can see there's some duckweed here. Now, at the end of the summer last year, this pond was completely covered in this duckweed. Luckily, that seems to have died down, although I'm guessing that will grow back quite fiercely. And so last year, the frog spawn was all up in the corner where the big sort of plant is. This year, it's all kind of down over this side. We've got some kind of lily plant growing here. Not entirely sure what that is, whether that's just an extension of the other plant. I really couldn't tell you. Anyway, let's have a bit of a closer look up at the frog spawn here. Absolutely thousands of them. Now, I'm not too sure when this was laid, and I certainly didn't notice it last week, so it could have been done over the weekend, over the Easter weekend possibly. And I'm not too sure. It should only take maybe about a week or so to hatch, depending on weather conditions really. So when I return to work after the Easter holidays, hopefully they'll all have hatched. We'll be able to get ourselves some tadpoles. There's the lily plant that's growing there now. So there's lots of sort of dead leaves in there. I don't know whether they'd be worth pulling out or whether just to leave things in there for sort of organic purposes. But yeah, that's the pond. We get loads of newts and snails in there and everything, which we'll have a look at over time. So last year, I took some of the tadpoles out of the pond and I put them into a tank and I raised them up to little froglets. So I'm planning on doing the same this year. So you can see the tank here behind me, left over from last year, needs a little bit of cleaning up. So that's the first thing I'm going to do. Well, yeah, this was left over from last year. It's basically just been sitting there since I emptied out to release the little froglets out back into the pond once they had grown up. It's kind of a bit gross. It's kind of dirty. It needs really good clean and sort of sterilising the stones. So I'm going to give them a rinse out. I'm going to wash them. I'm going to boil them a bit and make sure they're sterile, and then we're going to put them back in, and we'll try and make this look a bit more presentable. Now, I had little frogs in this one last time, and obviously I'm going to start out with a tadpole, so I'm going to have a bit deeper water than I had, because before I had it so that they could actually crawl out onto this rock when they were little froglets. They don't need to do that when they're tadpoles, so I'm going to have it much higher, so there's plenty more water for them to swim around in, and when you get some pondweed in there, and last year it worked really well. The condition of the water was really clear, it stayed clear, even though I had them in there for weeks. So yeah, I'm hoping to get something just as good this year. Given the tank a good clean out, and I rinsed all these stones. These stones have all been given a thorough rinse under the tap. What I'm going to do now is pour fresh boiling water on them. I'm hoping that's going to kind of sterilise them. That's probably it's about the best that I can do, really. So I'm going to have just soak them in the boiling water for a little while. That should kill anything that's alive on there, and also just pour a little bit of boiling water into the bottom here, which should just sterilise the bottom of the tank there like that. Okay, and then once that's done, I'm going to start arranging the stones back into there, and we'll get some water in, and we'll move on to the next stage. Okay guys, right, I have all the stones in there, and I've filled up with water. There is 14 litres of water in there at the moment. And now, as you can see, there's plenty of rocks in there for them to hide behind, and also once they've begun to change into little froglets, then I will lower the level of the water so that the rocks will poke out at the top, and there's plenty of places for them to crawl out and get some air and rest. Now, at the moment, there is no plant life in there, but that's fine. I will be adding some in here at the moment because this is tap water that I put in there, so obviously that's full of chlorine at the moment. Now, this water is going to be sitting here for at least a week before I do anything else to it, so the chlorine will have disappeared by that time. Obviously, chlorine, tap water is very bad for the health of your tadpoles, and so you need to use either distilled water or dechlorinated water. But if you leave normal tap water for a couple of days, it'll be absolutely fine. Because it is Easter holidays right now, so I will not be back into work where I'm doing this for about another week off work. So that's the next time I'm going to be doing anything to it at the time. Hopefully you can see the sun is kind of blocking out some of the light here, but yeah, so when I come back to work next week, at the end of next week possibly, I will put some plant life in there, but I'll get some pondweed in there, and so we can get a proper sort of ecosystem going. And then it's just a case of waiting for the tadpoles to hatch, and then we'll grab a few and we'll put some in, and then we'll monitor their progress.